The gift of information wrapped up at the top and bottom of the hour. We can deliver. Talk Radio 680 WCBM.
Take 36, 24 minutes now before the hour of 9 o'clock. Not only is there a battle at the national level for the RNC and a change in leadership there, here in Maryland, the battle rages on for the party chair of the Maryland Republican Party. Gordana Schifanelli, lieutenant governor candidate with Dan Cox, was nominated for that position and, of course, now has been blocked by the Maryland GOP. Or the leadership, I should say. And she joins us again on our Newsmaker hotline. Gordana, good morning. Welcome back.
Good morning, guys. Thank you for having me again.
Good to have you. It's our pleasure. So, what's interesting here is now you were nominated for this. You didn't actively court this position, correct?
Absolutely correct. I was nominated literally the very next day. I was called around 12 o'clock by newly elected Central Committee members and other members, Central Committees, trying to understand what just happened. So less than 12 hours after the general election, people reached out to me and wanted my consent to nominate me to the position, to clean up, bring fresh ideas, restore membership drive, excitement to RNC and Republican Party as a whole, as we were really, really hitting the rock bottom with 2022 election results.
Jordan, you were then told apparently that you can't do the job after all. What's that all about?
So that was very unfortunate and unnecessary. As my nomination was getting signatures, there's a process to that. I heard a rumor at the moment that because I said at that moment when they asked me, do you want to run? I thought, well, let me think about it. And they said, you can't, because there is this deadline, 30-day deadline. We got to do it 30 days before the General Assembly convenes on December 10th. And see, it's November 9th, so we got 30 days. We got to rush 30 days. And as an attorney, I looked up the bylaws. The first thing I pulled was the bylaws, and I'm reading here Section 9.1G1 that says nominating committee. And I keep telling the central committees and volunteers who are trying to get me nominated, I said, guys, you need to reach out to the nominating committee. And they say, it doesn't exist, Gordana. It doesn't exist. The nominating committee doesn't exist. You have to send this to Corinne Franks, their care secretary. And I keep saying, well, wait a minute. The bylaws are clear. I mean, it's English. It says to the nominating committee. How are you having a deadline 30 days? Where does it say when nominating committee hasn't been even created? So that kind of thing was kind of in my mind at the time, and I reached out right away to their care and text messages and calls and Corinne Franks, can somebody call me back? And at the time, nobody called me back. So 10 days later, no one's calling me back, and I'm still in this zone of rumor control because I never received communications from Corinne Franks. She apparently sent a letter on October 3rd, October 7th, and again October 17th. As a reminder, but the fact is that she sent these emails to the old Central Committee members, not everybody updated with new membership, all new Central Committee members. So half the people had no idea what she's talking about. And so they keep saying, she said in that letter, you need to send the nominations to her in an email that she sent to other people. Send me the nominations by 5 p.m. And right after that, it says, send the nominations 30 days before the General Convention. Well, 30 days before the General Convention, if anybody knows how to count time, is November 9, 11:59 p.m., not 5 p.m. So people started calling Corinne and Dirk for clarification. And guess what happened? Dirk says, sorry, I'm in Bahamas with limited access to internet. I don't know why would Corinne send 5 p.m.? Yes, literally, I have the text message. Why would Corinne send 5 p.m.? Section 9.1 does not give any time, but this is how we've always done. So I went back to take a look how we've always done. And that particular sentence is so misleading because we've always done in 2014, the deadline for nomination was December 3rd. And the deadline for nomination when Dirk Hare was running in 2016 was November 25th. And then in his own election, people complained it's too soon after the Thanksgiving. So the deadline was moved 3 days after, November 28th, so that everybody who are willing to participate can submit their nominations to the nominating committee, which was created before the deadline. So people actually followed the bylaws in 2014 and 2016 and not the way Dirk Hare had done this time. And it's not about me, guys. It's definitely not about me. It's the rule of law. It's following the bylaws and some policies and procedures that make sense. Having a deadline 10 days before the nominating committee is even created, it's abuse of power. You can't exclude people to try to compete. The denial of opportunities to compete to fix the party that's in dire need of being fixed is un-American, un-Republican as it gets.
Yeah, and Gordana, I mean, they're throwing the bylaws at you. I guess they forgot you were an attorney and that you were going to actually read them and follow them. But there are other issues with bylaws as well, like the fact that Nicolai Ambrose was allowed to run while as a member of the committee, which, as I understand, is against the bylaws, And there are been other violations of these bylaws of the Maryland GOP. So clearly they're not acting in the best interest of the bylaws or by the law itself.
And that's funny because Dirk Hare is supposed to be a barred attorney. He knows it. And I told him, I said, look, out of all people, you should be the last to open your mouth to say things that are simply not true. This is not how it's always been done. The precedent is after the Thanksgiving when people actually have opportunity to apply and opportunity to compete. Number one. Number two, under Section 5, Article 5 of the bylaws, the National Committee woman cannot participate and apply and run for public office. It's clear she needs to resign. Why are we not following our own rules? That does not look good for the party. It doesn't instill confidence that we know what we are doing. And the people, we are recycling the same people over and over and over again, expecting to see different results. And we will not see different results.
All right, hold that thought, Gordana, because we'll have to pause for traffic. When we come back, though, we do want to address, what to do to fix the problem or repair the issue and where we go from there. More with Gordana Schifanelli here in just a second on this battle for the Maryland GOP party chair, which does involve, Gordana was nominated, Andy Harris's wife, Nicole Harris, is a candidate. Tim Fazenbaker is also a candidate. We've extended an invitation to them to come on as well. Schifanelli and Gordana, I'm holding in my hands a document that's addressed to the Maryland Central Committee members. It's rather lengthy. It looks to be an extraordinary legal document. Is this your work assigned by the Unity team? Is this you?
What document are you having?
It's Dear Maryland Central Committee members, and it describes all the problems. It cites the bylaws. It says, let's fix the problem, do the right thing, and it has an attachment of the nominating committee members' names and an attachment of the bylaws.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your document, and I can tell because
the Unity team. Yeah, so all the members of the Unity team has worked on it, and they came with a concise statement to the Central Committee members, especially knowing that there are some new people who were not part of the prior Central Committees didn't receive Corinne's letters on October 3rd or 7th, October 17th. This is even before the early voting started. So, let me give you an example. Neil Parrott's results were not known until 10 days ago, no, less than 10 days ago. Neil Parrott would have been disqualified from running if he wanted to, if he chose to run for MDGOP. But why? We don't do this to Republicans who are great candidates. So the nominating committees in the past, as well as the candidates, were given the chance after the general or quadrennial convention, which would be the gubernatorial one, to apply after they know whether they won for the office as they were running or not. I mean, that's simple as that. So creating a deadline to exclude people is un-American and un-Republican. So there is obviously an intent here to exclude quality people from applying. And one must wonder why. The bylaws are very clear. You cannot have a deadline to apply when you don't even have nominating committee, who is the only body to accept nominations.
Gordana, this strikes me as one of these insane things Republicans do in a form of circular firing squad, that this benefits no one in this process to be here. Absolutely no one. What it seems to me would be an equitable approach would be to say, let's determine who's interested in this position, and let's go through a process where they feel they have the opportunity to each of them make their case and move forward. This seems to be that you have, at least from my perception, some folks, whether they're swamp folks or other folks, who simply say, this is my toy and only I can play with it, and we're going to make the rules so that you can't even be in my sandbox.
Well, exactly. And the worst part of all is Dirk Hare doesn't make the rules. And Corinne Franks doesn't make the rules. There is supposed to be a rules committee that makes the rules. We don't have rules of procedure. And again, in his own race in 2016, the rules were changed because the deadline fell the day after the Thanksgiving. And people thought, well, it's not fair. We haven't finished digesting our food. Give us some more time. And the time was extended. So we can't be considered a serious party if we don't have a play field that is clear, that is public, so that everybody can understand the rules of the game, as opposed to goalposts moving however Dirk Hare decides to move the goalposts to exclude people from running. The candidates that are running, whether being Nicole Harris or Mr. Tim Basenbaker or whoever, should be concerned about the gross violations of the bylaws. No one benefits when you have a game that's set up by the referee who's supposed to be out of this.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, we're short on time. We have about 30 seconds left. I just wanted to get, what should our listeners do? If our listeners want a fair, equitable process and they want you added to the ballot along with Nicole Harris and Tim Basenbaker, what should they do?
They need to call their central committees to vote no confidence to Dirk Hare and nominating committee and resettle the illegality that happened during this abundantly clear violations of the bylaws back in order. The bylaws rules, not Dirk Hare. So the bylaws needs to be set in the fair process. The nominating committee hasn't followed it. Dirk Hare hasn't followed it. They need to vote no confidence or abstain from voting. So people, call your central committee members, stay on top of them, and tell them that they represent your voices. They need to follow the bylaws and not Dirk Hare's unilateral king-like behavior. That's destroying our Republican Party, and MDGOP is not going to have any success in come 2024 if this continues.